Hello everyone, welcome to the session of design and analysis of algorithm. So in the previous session we have discussed how to analyze the non-recursive algorithm, and also we have analyzed the algorithm for the finding this sum of n given elements, and also we have found the time efficiency of that particular algorithm. So let me take some more example and explain how to calculate the time efficiency for the given problem. So let me take the problem like finding the maximum of the given n elements. So say for example, if you have 5 elements 10, 5, 2, 3, 15. So these are the elements that is present in the array. So that is where, let me call this one as an array A, and usually the array elements are represented or accessed using the array elements, its indices values. Okay. So now we need to compare, we need to find out what is the largest element in the given element or a given list. So here usually when we are looking into these numbers directly, we can say that 15 is the largest number, right? So but how to find out that 15 is the largest number, how our brain is calculating that 15 is the largest number. So how means, as we know that we know the numbers, so how in the schooling itself we have learnt how to write the 1, 2, 3, 4 and all. So based on that some operation we have calculated, so mind has calculated, so this number looks very large compared to this, so that's why this one will be the largest one. So like that it is found. But basically how it is calculating, based on what operation? Comparison operation. So what is that comparison? So between any two numbers we are comparing 10, whether the 10 is greater 1 or 5 is greater than, we need to check. So 10 is greater than 5, yes, 10 is the greater one. So 5 is not the greater than 10. So we are not going to change this. So 10 again compared with 2, again 10 is larger than 2, therefore so your maximum value is 10 only. Again we need to check with another number 3. So I have checked with 3, so again 10 is the greatest one. But at the last I am going to check with the last number that is present in the given list, that is 15. 15 is compared with 10, so definitely more than 10. So that is 15 is more than 10. Therefore, what is the maximum value that is present in the given list? That is 15. Okay. So this can be done by what? Comparison. So by using the comparison operation we are performing this particular problem, or else we are finding the largest element in the given list, right? So what is that comparison operation we are performing? Between what we are performing? Between any two numbers. What are all those numbers? Between what? Your maximum number and the array number. Okay, so let me take this starts with the 0th position. I am assuming that the first element will be the largest one. Okay, the maximum value is the first element that is present in the array. So how to represent the first element in the array? That is A of the first position value, that is 0. That will be considered as a maximum value. So therefore from where we need to start the comparison? From here to here we need to start the comparison. So that is start from 1 to 4 we need to do. So 4 is nothing but what? For a given n numbers. So this will be the n minus 1. Therefore your I starts with 1 to what? N minus 1. Up to that what we need to check? We need to do comparison between what? If your A of value, some value, that is if you are using the indices value as I, then if your A of I is greater than your max value, so since here we are finding what? The greatest value. Therefore if the new element is greater than the max element already we have chosen, if so, then your max value will change now. So what will be the your max value? Max value will become your A of I. Why? So this A of I, the new value whatever we have picked from the array, is greater than the maximum value whatever we have assumed. Therefore, this value will be updated. Okay. So, this process is continued till the end of this array. Okay. So, therefore, your array starts with 1 to n minus 1. Why it is 1 to n minus 1? Why? Because the first value whatever we have assumed that is the largest element that is present in the array for the first iteration. Okay. In the beginning itself we are assuming it, and rest of the elements whatever we are picking one by one and we are comparing with the maximum value, and if it is a maximum value we are updating the max value, otherwise we are keeping the max as it is. Okay. So, this process continue unless it reach the end of the array. Why? Because we can't predict that where actually the largest element is there. Of course, if you look into this, definitely we can say that at the last position, but computer doesn't know about this, right? So, for that we need to go from 1 to 4th position, that means the last position. So, your basic operation is what? Comparison. Start from first position, ends with the last position. Okay. So, all the comparison will be done. So, here in order to write the algorithm, we are finding what? The largest value. So, of array of n elements, or else we can write array of n elements like this also. So, purpose of this algorithm to find the largest of given n elements. Input, what are the inputs? N is nothing but a positive integer which takes the number of elements in the given array or list. Okay. Next, output. So, here we need to find out what? The largest one. So, that is nothing but here I am using max value. So, max is the largest value of n given elements. Okay. So, step 1 is what? We are initializing the values, that is your max is initialized to what? A of 0, right. So, step 2, for your I starts with what? I should be start with 1, not from the 0. Why? Because 0th position value is initialized to what? Max, that is why. So, I starts with 1 to n minus 1, since this array ends with n minus 1 position. So, what we need to do? What is the operation? We need to check the condition. For condition, if a of indices value I starts with a of 1, so that is a of I is greater than your max value, then what is the action? If so, then we need to initialize the max by a of I, that is a of I. Okay. So, this process will continue until unless it reach the end of the array. So, this is end if, this is end for, and then at the step 3 return the largest value. What is the largest value? That is max. In the max we will be having the largest value. So, let me take the same example and let me trace it. So, here we have what? So, I value, the variable value is I and the max value is varying for the given array A. Okay. So, I starts with what? 1. Why? Because the max value is initialized to A of 0. First statement is max is equal to A of 0. A of 0 means what? 10. So, max value is 10. And next is the comparison statement, A of I is greater than max. We need to check this condition, right? So A of I, what is I? I is 1, in the one place we have 5, 5 greater than max is 10. So what is the value? So 5 greater than 10, is it true? False. If it is false, it will increment the I value. So that is, if the condition is false, it is not going to take the action, instead of that it will goes to the outer loop. So here I gets increments and then it will check the condition whether it has reached the end of the array or not. So that is, I gets increments 2, 2 less than 5 is true. So if it is true, next we need to check with the, so since it is wrong, so max will be as it is 10, and then next, so in the second position we have 2, 2 greater than 10, again it is false. Okay, if it is false, max is not going to be changed, max will be 10 as it is. So I gets increments 3, 3 less than 5 is true. If it is true, in the third position again we have 3, 3 greater than 10, it is false. If it is false, it will increment the I, that is 4, 4 less than 5 is true. So max value is 10 only. Okay, in the fourth position of I, so that is A of 4 we have 15. So 15 greater than 10. So 15 greater than max. So that is 10 is true now. So if it is true, what is the action? Max value will be equal to A of I. What is A of I? A of I value is 4. A of 4 is 15 only. So max value will be changed to what? A of I. In the ith position we have 15, therefore max is 15. Now I gets increments. So here we have either you can have a break statement here, instead of that you can continue with the step. Why? Because here you can't have a break here. Why? Because we need to go up to what? End of the array. So because of that reason you should not have a break or return statement here. Okay. So for that next one is I will get increments, that is I is 5, but 5 less than 5, this is the termination condition for this algorithm. Okay, 5 less than 5 is what? False. If it is false, it will come out of the loop. And what is the next step? The termination of this algorithm will be taken place using the return statement, return max. What is the value that is present in max? That is 15. Okay, so now how to calculate the analysis or time efficiency? Analysis can be done. First, we need to identify the input size. The size of the input is what? Input is n. Okay, size of the input is n. And the second step, what is the basic operation? What we are doing here? We are doing the comparison. Therefore, the basic operation BO is comparison. Right? We are doing the comparison. And the third step, the number of times the basic operation, how many times your basic operation executed, is it based on the input? Fully? Yes, of course, it is going to work for all the input, for the given inputs. Okay. So, definitely the number of time executed is based only on input size. Okay. Therefore, fourth step. What is the fourth step? So, fourth step is to set up a summation equation for the given algorithm. So, what is the algorithm? So, here we have a basic operation, A of I is greater than max. So, that can be written here. So, if the basic operation is A of I is greater than max. If so, okay, we are performing the operation, right? So, here in order to set up a summation equation, we need to check what is that basic operation here in the algorithm. On top of this, we have a one for loop. If you have more than one for loop, you can have multiple summation equation. So, here we have only one for loop. So, your T of n, that is time efficiency function, can be defined as the sum of. So, from where to where it has been started? From 1 to n minus 1 it has been started. So I starts with 1, end up with n minus 1, and here in order to perform this operation, comparison operation, it is going to take 1 unit of time. So in order to perform this operation, it is taking 1 unit of time. Therefore, here we can write 1 unit of time. So the fifth step is we need to solve the above summation equation and we need to represent in an order of growth. So now T of n is equal to sum of I is equal to 1 to n minus 1, 1. So in the last class I have told that which function or a formula we need to use whenever we have a constant term here. Since we here 1 is the constant, here we need to apply upper bound minus lower bound plus 1, right. So here we are applying upper bound n minus 1 minus lower bound is not 0 here, now it is 1 plus 1. So now plus 1 minus 1 get cancelled and you have end up with n minus 1, that is T of n. So T of n is equal to n minus 1 times. So that means that for the given n inputs, okay, for the given n inputs, how many times the basic operation has been compared? Okay, comparison has been made for 4 times. Why? Because first, whatever the first value is there, first input, that is initialized, okay. So which is initialized to max, initialization has been done. So if you are doing the, if you are calculating time efficiency in based on step count, then you need to count this one also. But here we are not calculating the time efficiency in terms of step count. Instead of that, we are performing based on the input and the number of times the basic operation executed. So because of that reason, its time efficiency is T of n is equal to n minus 1 time. So usually we are going to represent the algorithm efficiency based on the higher order term of this equation. So what is the higher order term of this equation? N. So that is your T of n belongs to big O of n, okay. So in the previous class itself, in the asymptotic notations, how to represent the given equation in a big O notations, based on that I have written T of n belongs to big O of n times. So that means that it belongs to worst case of given n inputs. That means that for the given n inputs, for all the n inputs, we are going to work the basic operation. Okay, so this is how we can analyze the given algorithm for the given problem. So the problem is finding the largest number, and for that we have written the, or else we have designed the algorithm how to find out the maximum value, and then this is how we are calculating the time efficiency for the given algorithm. Okay, so the next problem is whether the given array elements are distinct or not. Okay, so let me take the example for designing the algorithm. So I have an array of, let me take this one as 5 elements. Okay, so the elements are 35, 2, 22, 26 and then 82. So 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So totally 5 elements are there. So what is the problem? We need to find, or we need to check whether the given array elements are distinct. So that is whether it is a unique or not, we need to find out. Not to find that, okay. So again what we need to do? So is it identical? We need to check. In order to come, I check the identity, what we need to do? We need to do the comparison, whether this number is equivalent to this number. We are checking, right? So again the basic operation is what we are doing, that is comparison. So like, so if you are comparing the color, so this color, the black color is, so this one is black color, this one is black color. So this is same, okay. This is not distinct. This one is black color, this one is cream color. So that is, these are distinct. So we need to identify that distinctness, okay, in the given array of n elements. So for that, what we are doing? We are doing the comparison. In order to do the comparison itself, what is the operation we need to perform? So what is the operator we need to use? So here we need to use whether it is an equal. We are matching it. Okay, matching process has been done here. So definitely the operation is comparison. So what is that comparison? So operator is equal. Whether these two elements are equal or not, we need to check. So we need to check these two elements. No, it is not equal. Next, these two, this and this, we need to check. See, observe here. First, we need to check with this, this, this and this. No, it is not matched. If in case if it is 35, by that time we can say that this 35 is there, and then we can say that so elements are not distinct. But here all the elements are not equal to 35. So in the first step itself we can't say that. So 35, only 35 is compared with the remaining elements. In the first iteration itself we can't say that the elements are distinct. Okay, why? Because there may be a chances of this two might be present in somewhere else, right? So because of that reason you need to continue with the step if you does not found in the first iteration. If the elements are distinct, then you need to come up with a second point. So now we need to check with the second position elements. You need to check with, already 2 is compared with 35. No need to check with the previous value, but this value should be compared with this, this and this. So here I have taken the example of worst case. Why? Because the problem statement is what? We need to find out whether the given array elements are distinct. We need to find out. That's why I have taken the worst case itself. Okay. So this has to be compared with this and this and this. So it is not matched. Therefore we need to continue the process. Why? Because 22 is not compared with 26 and 88. So we need to continue the step. So that is 22 should be compared with 26 and 82. So again these are all not equal. Again we need to continue with the next step, that is 26 should be compared with 82, right? So here we require two indices value. One is for the number of passes and another one is for comparison. Okay, so two indices value or a reference value is required in order to find out whether the given array elements are distinct here. Okay, so let me write the algorithm here. So algorithm, distinct of array of n elements. Okay, and then here we are starting with the purpose. Distinct or not, right? So next input, array A of n positive integers. Okay, output here is what we need to we are checking here, checking in the sense whether it is right or wrong. So therefore we need to return some boolean value. Okay, so since we are returning true or false, so true is going to be returned if the array elements are distinct. False if the array elements are not distinct, right? So this is what we need to next. So here step 1, so here we need to do the comparison, right? So if a of I is equal to, see, a of I is equal to, the next comparison will be done for what? This value should be checked with all the values, okay? This, in order to reference this, I am going to use I, and to represent the remaining values I am going to use j. Therefore, a of I is equal to a of j. Then, so if so, what I am going to write? Return false. So that means that given array elements are not distinct, that are all unique, okay? So false is going to be returned. So for how many times? So for I should run from 0 to this point. Why? Because so this value is for the reference. So this value should be compared with the remaining elements. For the remaining elements, I am going to use the indices value j, and for comparison I am using the indices value I. So the comparisons should start with this position to this. So if you go to this position, if I goes to this position, here for the comparison we don't have any other values. We won't be having any other values. So because of that reason, here comparison should start from 0th position to last but 1. So this is what, this position is n minus 1. What about the previous one? So this will be the n minus 2 position. So n minus 2, do what is the next one? We need to do the remaining comparison, right? So we need to come up with the remaining comparisons. For that, for j should start with where? Should be started with this position. So that is, so this position, in the sense every time your I will be keep on changing, no? So of course for the first iteration I is 0, then it is fine, but for the second iteration I will be 1. By that time what happens? So shall the j should start with the 1? No. So next to the ith position, therefore j always should start from which position? I plus 1 position. So I guess you understood this. So if I starts with 0th position, j must start with the next position of I. So what is that? 0 plus 1. Next position is 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So if I starts with 1, then 1 plus 1 is what? 2. So from this position it should start. That means that 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1, like that. So that is nothing but I value. Based on the I value, we need to check with the j value. So j should be initialized to what? I plus 1. From that point, the j comparison should start up to what? Of course, it should go up to the last position. That is, last position is nothing but n minus 1. Do the following operation. So if a of I is equal to a of j, then return false. That means it is saying that if it is equal, it is not equal. So if you are putting return true here, so then it is a problem. So not equal j, by that time it is going to return. So in the first iteration itself it will be gone. Okay. So that is also one thing, or else you can write like this also. A of I is equal to a of j, return false if it is true, by saying the given elements are not distinct. So if the given elements are distinct, that means that it will be checked with all the elements that is present in the array. Okay. At the last, after if statement, end if, end for, and one more end for, in the step 2, what we are going to do? We are going to return what? The Boolean value true, by saying the array elements are distinct. Okay. So for this we can have a tracing. So here what is the variable values I and j, and also here for each iteration we are checking this condition. We can have 3 columns for tracing, I, j, and what is that if condition, a of I is equal to a of j, we need to check. For the same inputs, let me check this. I, so first I is initialized to 0, j should start with what? I plus 1. So that is 0 plus 1 is 1. So a of I is 0, so I is 0 and j is 1. A of I means 0th position value, that is 35, is equal to a of j. J is what? 1. So that is in the first position we have 2. This is false. If it is false, j gets increments. J is 2. So 35 is equal to next position. In the second position we have 22. This is also false. If it is false, then we are not going to take this action. Instead of that, j gets increments. So what is j? J is 3. So 3, that is a of I is not going to be varied here since I is 0. In the 0th position we have 35. 35 is equal to 26. Again it is false. J gets increments. What is j? J is 4. In the 4th position we have value, so that we are continuing the next step, next iteration. 35 is equivalent to 82. This is false. Again j gets increments. What is j? J is now 5. But we don't have any value in the 5th position, that is 5 less than 5 is false. It will come out of the loop, this one. Okay. This is going up to n minus 1. So n minus 1 is nothing but what? 4. So this is going to do up to this. So once it is done, again it will goes back to the outer loop. So now I was 0, now it is incremented to 1. So now I gets increments, I is 1. So j should start from what? I plus 1. That means this is j is 2. 1 and 2. So in first position we have 2. 2 is equal to a of j, that is a of 2 is 22. This is false. J gets increments, that is 2 is equal to 26, false. Next j gets increments 4, 2 is equal to 82, false. It is, so 5 less than 5 false, it will come out of the loop. In the I loop it is going to increment the I value by 2. 2 less than 4, definitely this is going to work. So now j gets increments 3. In the second position we have 22 is equal to, in the third position we have 26. Again it is false. J gets increments 4, 22 is equal to 82, false. It will come out of the loop. 5 less than 5 is false. It will come out of the loop. So it will goes to third position. Yes, of course, for this also it will work. J gets increments, that is j is initialized to I plus 1, that is 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay. So now in the third position we have 26 is equal to, in the fourth position we have 82. This is also false. If it is false, it will increment the 5, 5 less than 5 is false, it will come out of the loop. This will increment 4, 4 less than 4 is false, it will also come out of the loop. So both the for loop has been terminated. If the both the for loops are terminated, at the end we are going to return what? True, by saying the array elements, whatever the array elements they have given are distinct. Therefore, how to do the analysis for this algorithm? So analysis is very simple. So first step, input size. So for the given input, so array of n elements, the test size of the input is n. Okay. Next, the basic operation. The basic operation is what? Present in the innermost loop. So that is, we are doing the comparison. By doing the comparison only we are seeing whether it is distinct or not, right? So A of I is equal to A of j, that is nothing but the comparison we are doing. The comparison is the basic operation. Its equivalent statement is what? A of I is equal to A of j. Third step. Of course, here for the, if we are, our problem statement is like if the given elements are unique, we need to find by that time. So there may be a chance of best case, worst case and average case, but here according to the problem statement it is better to go with the worst case itself. So that is purely, so we need to go with all the elements whatever we have. So we have done and all the comparison has to be done. So here I am calculating the worst case efficiency itself for the given algorithm. Okay. So here assuming that the given elements are distinct. Okay. If the given elements are not distinct, by that time it is based on what? Obviously here it is returning false, but that is I do not want that particular output, right. So here based on the problem statement I am going to do the analysis. So based on that, the third step is all the elements, so that is the number of times the basic operation executed is based on input size. Okay. Therefore, the fourth step is we need to set up a summation equation. So, in order to set up a summation equation, we have two for loops. Outermost is I is equal to 0 to n minus 2 and the innermost is j is equal to I plus 1 to n minus 1. So, here we can set up a summation equation like summation I is equal to 0 to n minus 2 and j is equal to I plus 1 to n minus 1, which is having a only one comparison statement which takes 1 unit of time. So, the fifth step is we need to solve this equation. So, therefore, T of n is equal to, whenever we have more than one summation equation, then we need to solve, the rule must be applied that we need to solve the innermost and then we need to solve for the outermost. Okay. Of course, here we have a constant term, so we can solve the summation equation separately, but here these two summation equations are not independent. These are all dependent on each other. Why? Because j always starts with what? I plus 1. That is why first you need to solve this equation and then you need to solve the outermost. So, for that I is equal to 0 to n minus 2. So, the lower one is since it is a constant term, upper bound minus lower bound plus 1. So, that is upper bound is n minus 1 minus lower bound I plus 1 plus 1. So minus into minus, plus minus into plus minus. So, minus n minus 1 minus I plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 minus 1 get cancelled, you remaining with summation I is equal to 0 to n minus 2. So, minus 1 plus 1 get cancels. So, you have remained with minus 1. So, that is n minus I minus 1. So, this is the remaining statement. So, this is okay. So, here we need to apply the summation for all the values here present over here. So, that we need to write summation I is equal to 0. Since it is in between we have a minus here operation, we need to apply for each and every term that is present in the equation. I is equal to 0 to n minus 2, n minus summation I is equal to 0 to n minus 2, I minus summation I is equal to 0 to n minus 2, 1. So, this is, so n is a constant. Why? Because I is the variable here, upper bound minus lower bound, only n into n minus 2 plus minus 0 plus 1 minus here I is the variable, here also I is the variable, say, therefore here we need to apply the formula. It is not upper bound minus lower bound. Instead of that, we need to apply n into n minus 1 divided by 2. That formula we need to apply here. But the upper bound is changed, that is n minus 2. Instead of that, we need to apply. So, but for this equation, upper bound is n minus 2, therefore, we need to replace n by n minus 2. So, this will become n minus 2 minus n minus 1 divided by 2. So, this is n minus 2 n minus 1 divided by 2, and minus upper bound minus lower bound plus 1 minus 1 minus 2, that is you remaining with n minus 1. So, here minus 2 plus 1. So, here it is also minus 1. So, n minus 1 is common. So, here you can take n minus 1 as a common factor. 2 into n is 2n minus n minus 2, minus into minus is plus, minus n, sorry, this is 1, okay, divided by 2. So, here 2n minus n is n. So, n into this will be equivalent to n into n minus 1 divided by 2. So, approximately your T of n is equal to n into n minus 1 divided by 2. Approximately your answer will be belongs to T of n belongs to big O of n square. So, your basic operation is going to be executed for n square times. Okay. So, this is how we can calculate the time efficiency for the given algorithm. Okay. So, in the next coming session, we will discuss some more problem and then we will try to analyze the algorithm. Thank you.